morning, everyone. It is great to see you here once again on Dee's Delights. Today I am going to make something totally different, something I haven't made before in my whole entire life. And the reason I'm making this recipe is because a friend of mine asked. My friend who was here before, you all know her as Angie Ferry. She has a sister who apparently likes Dee's Delights on YouTube. And I am so grateful for that. And her sister's name is Carol Smith, Carol Ann Smith. So Carol, this recipe is gonna be for you. I'm gonna put some pictures on the screen here shortly, just a little bit of information about Carol. She did go to Bedford High School, but she graduated in 1965. She had a brother, Jeff, so it was Jeff Smith. And then when their mother remarried, many years later, came Angie, who is known as Angie Ferry. And a lot of you out there who watch this will remember Angie Ferry because she graduated with me in 1980. So this recipe is for Carol. Carol, I also found some interesting information about you. Apparently you worked for the federal government for 40 years. How cool is that? That is great. So now, there are plenty of recipes out there for stuffed cabbage, or also known as pigs in a blanket. But I found one that appealed more to me. And we're going to go over that. There's different ways to do it. But first, we are going to get started with the tomato sauce. And this is the part I liked about this recipe. Some recipes call for Campbell's tomato soup. Ugh, that is a no-no in my book. I'm sure a lot of you love Campbell's tomato soup. I know my husband does. I don't. That just makes me, I just don't like it. I don't like the taste of it. I don't like the look of it. I don't like the texture of it. I just don't like it at all. Hello, folks. I am inserting this in the video. I told you that the other day that it was the first time that I had made stuffed cabbage rolls. Well, that is truth. And I told you that I saw a lot of recipes out there that called for tomato soup and that I do not like tomato soup. So I use tomato sauce and crushed tomatoes. Well, guess what I'm going to do today? I'm going to try a recipe with tomato soup. Oh, wow, I had two lids there. I just popped this in the microwave. Jack's great-grandmother, Jack is my grandson, his great-grandmother, Agnes Strayer, made some stuffed cabbage rolls. Sent some home with Jack for me. Okay, I'm gonna cut it in half. A little nervous. Make sure I heated it up. Yeah, it's warm the whole way through. Let's see. It's nice and tender. Wait a minute. Let me just try this again. Her cabbage is nice and tender too. She has changed her recipe, I'm sure, throughout the years to perfect it, to make it that nobody else can compare. It's very good. So actually I lied to you. This tomato soup, whatever her recipe may be, thank you, Aggie, for showing me how I was wrong in disliking tomato soup on cabbage roll before I even tried it. Remember your parents when you were little, they would say, try it, try it. You'd say, I don't want to, I don't like it. Well, guess what? I tried it. And I like it. Hey, thank you, Aggie. Thank you for sending these home with Lindsay and Jack. Absolutely delicious. I will be getting the recipe off of you. You're gonna have to teach me how to make it your way. Thanks for joining me here on Dee's Delights. Back to the video now. So I am going to use Hunt's crushed tomatoes and Hunt's tomato sauce. So let's get started. For the tomato sauce, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter, 1/2 cup finely chopped onions, 1 teaspoon of garlic minced, a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, and it says here, do not drain. You will need a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. Well, I wanted to use Hunt's also, and all I could find was 2 8-ounce cans, so we're going to use that instead. You're going to need salt and pepper to taste, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar. I'm going to use balsamic vinegar. So let's get started. For the tomato sauce, melt the butter in a large pot over medium heat. Add the onion and cook for 4 to 5 minutes until translucent. One other thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and you're going to need rice for the stuffing. So you'll want to cook that rice ahead of time. Have that prepared. Maybe have your onions chopped up ahead of time. So I did the rice and the onions last night so I wouldn't have to fiddle fart with it today. An interesting thing about the word fiddle fart, I say that from time to time, don't even know where I got that term, but apparently I looked it up today, fiddle fart. It's an American slang from the 1950s. It means fooling around or wasting time. So when I say that I didn't want to fiddle fart with this today, that means I saved time. I wasn't wasting time dicing up the onions, cooking the rice. I wasn't fiddle farting. I was being productive. I was trying to save time. Okay, let's get the butter and the onions started. We're going to melt the butter. Would some of you like to come and organize my drawers? I would really appreciate that. Okay, we got about 2 tablespoons of butter right here. We're going to put that in the pan that's heating up. Melt that, then put our 1/2 cup of onions in. And the onions are going to take about 4 to 5 minutes to become translucent. So let's go ahead and put them in. And you can tell by the way they look. They kind of get clear. So next we're going to add the garlic. Once that's translucent, we're going to add our tomato sauce, our crushed tomatoes, salt and pepper to boil. I'm just going to sprinkle on a little salt and pepper because I really don't even know if I need any. There again, I have been having slight heartburn lately, so practically everything in this dish is going to aggravate it. Definitely the tomato sauce, the fat in the hamburger. Let's see what else. Salt and pepper have been known to agitate. Garlic. But you know what? You only live once, so I'm going to still eat today. I'm just going to scrape off some of the tomato sauce. That would be the big culprit, I think. So this is a teaspoon of garlic minced. It did not say cloves, so I do not have to substitute, because this is minced garlic. That for about 30 seconds. Kind of what stuffed cabbage rolls or pigs in a blanket remind me of is just a porcupine ball or stuffed peppers, the stuff you might put in a stuffed pepper, and do the same type of thing. So, I mean, it's going to be good. Okay, 30 seconds have gone by, good enough. Add the crushed tomatoes and the tomato sauce. Now I'll turn that down a little bit or I will have this splattering all over the place, and we don't want that. We're going to sprinkle a little salt and pepper. Not much. Okay, so let's put in our brown sugar and red wine vinegar. The brown sugar, we need 2 tablespoons and 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar. I'm going to turn that down. Boy, that keeps on splattering. Hopefully this calms it down. Red wine, I'm using balsamic. That's pronounced balsamic, not balsamic like I just said. We'll stir that in. That helped calm things down, and I turned it down a little bit. We just want it to be at a simmer. So we're going to simmer it for about 15 minutes and stir occasionally. While the sauce is simmering, assemble the cabbage rolls. Bring a large pot of water to a boil. I'm going to lay that out, put it in the pan here. All right, so I cooked the cabbage so that they would be pliable. As you see, the further down the cabbage you go, now these are the top ones, they were nice and green. These get a little bit more pale, and they start to get a little smaller too. So, but what you want to do is put a whole head of cabbage in a deeper pan of water. It'll make it a lot more convenient. And then cook it for about 3 to 5 minutes in boiling water. Take your cabbage out, and then you can peel your cabbage leaves off. All right, for the cabbage rolls, we're going to need 1 pound of ground beef, which I have measured out. We're going to need 1 cup cooked rice, 1/2 cup finely chopped onions. Whoops, it goes up. 1 teaspoon garlic minced, 1 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1 egg, 1 head of cabbage, cooking spray, and 1/4 cup parsley leaves. So we've already done the tomato sauce. Let's get started on the stuffing. Place the ground beef, rice, onion, garlic, salt, pepper, 2 tablespoons of parsley, and an egg in a bowl. Let's get started with that. So let's put the ground beef in here. I'm just going to mix it around with my fingers because it seems to work pretty good. That way, since I made the rice the night ahead, some of it sticks together. And it didn't specify whether it was minute rice or whether it was long grain rice. You know, you have to cook for like 20-25 minutes. So I just did long grain rice. Some people will put pork in this too, like part hamburger, part pork, ground pork. So that would be strictly up to you, what you want to do there. We're going to do our onions. Our minced garlic. That was 1 teaspoon, I believe. We have 1 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon pepper. Let's mix that around. Let's mix this egg up. I'm just going to use this bowl that I had the onion in. Now I don't have fresh parsley, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of parsley in here. And then we're going to add 1/2 cup of the tomato sauce. So I will get 1/2 cup out of this mixture right here. And that's about 1/2 cup. Just 1/2 of a cup. So we'll put that in there. Okay, that is our mixture. So let's move this. I'm going to mold this with my hands, almost as if I'm making a meatloaf. So lay the cabbage flat and cut a little V shape out of the core of the cabbage or the rib part of the cabbage. That's the way we're going to do it. So we want to have about 12 of these. Alrighty, so I have my 12 cabbage leaves. Some are greener than others, depends on which part of the cabbage it is. So we cut out like a little V shape, get rid of the hard part of the cabbage. Let's get ready and coat our 9x13 pan with cooking spray. It says about 1/3 of a cup per each one. So let's just go ahead and get 1/3 of a cup, put it in each one, and then we'll shape it like a football. See if we got enough. We might have to adjust a little bit. So I would say more like 1/4 of a cup per each, a little over. You'll just have to see, and you'll want to put it according to how big the cabbage leaf is, because some of them aren't as big as others, depending on what part of the cabbage it came from. Is pour half of the tomato sauce in the bottom of the cooking dish. That looks like about half. Mix that around a little bit. And let's start rolling these up. I'm going to have it go over, bring the sides in, and then roll it the whole way down. And I'm going to put the V part on the bottom so that it's tucked in there. Roll over, pull the sides in, and roll it the whole way down. 9 by 13 pan works out perfectly for 12 of these. So we got them all in there, rolled. And then top with remaining sauce, cover with foil, and bake at 350 degrees for 60 to 90 minutes until cabbage is tender. So let me just spread this on here. I'm going to put a little bit on each. So spread that evenly over that. Cover it with foil, put it in the oven, 60 to 90 minutes. See if we can at least get through the cabbage. Yeah, some of that's really soft. Yeah, I'm thinking if we can do it with a toothpick. I mean, if you want to let it in for another 15 minutes or so, go ahead. But I'm sure it'll cook right here as it sits, because that sauce is a bubbling. Okay, I have come home from work after a long, hard day. I think I was at work for about 4 hours today.
Did you get there 1 o'clock? 1:30?
1:30. I didn't realize how long these things would take to bake. Oh, I splattered that. Let's just see. Let's make it look a little more presentable. Look, this is definitely not what you would see in a restaurant. You definitely don't want sauce splattered all over the plate.
The presentation is
It's key.
probably 40% of the meal.
Okay, I'm going to cut it in half.
If you present like that, you better hope it's good.
Okay, so as you can see, it looks pretty good inside. I probably could have tightened the cabbage a little bit so it'd be more firm. What do you think, Doug? Or doesn't it really matter?
I don't think it really matters.
You don't think?
No.
Well, you had, tell them what you did with yours. You said you had 2 and didn't you put peas all over it?
I cut mine all up into small little bits and then dumped peas all over it. I wish I could taste it because probably applesauce on top of that, yeah, would have been good.
Yeah, Doug likes applesauce. I think it's really good myself. And it might even be better newt when it had time to sit in there. I had a little bit earlier, but the longer it sits, I think the softer it gets. It's good.
It has a little time for the flavor to soak in.
Yep, the flavor's soaked in. I think, Doug, you would really like these.
I probably, well,
I'm pretty sure.
I loved it. I gave it a 9.
Yeah. I would probably give it about an 8.5. Just for the fact that I think you could do this with pretty much anything. Green peppers, put that in there, put the sauce over.
The country side comes out of me because a biscuit with butter would be good.
Oh, that would be good. What else would you like served with these?
Saltine crackers would be good with it.
It was Carol Ann Smith that suggested that I make this. Now, her last name now is Kelly, and they live in Florida now. But that's Angie Ferry's older sister. She graduated in 1965. Angie graduated in 80. Angie's mom was married once before. So then Angie came along many years later. She had a brother, an older brother and a sister. And Carol is the one who wanted me to make these. So this is for Carol. And I think, Carol, I think you're going to like them.
Yeah, well, thanks, Carol.
I had talked to Angie earlier today and thought maybe I could send them up your way in Florida. And isn't that a coincidence that we're going to Florida at the end of maybe February, beginning of March? But she said you'd be about 3 hours from where we're even going. So I don't think it'll work.
So you come see us.
Huh. There you go. Thanks for joining us here once again on Dee's Delights, and I hope to see you real soon.
Me too.